One of my traits that my wife doesn't really find that amusing is the fact that I'm very literal. So when I say the next teardown is something that's out of the box, it's an engine out of a box truck. It's outside of the box, literally. It's a Caterpillar 3126. It's a 7.2 liter Turbodiesel inline 6, and I had to do some questionable things to get this in the back of my truck. No, I didn't have to beat anybody up. I actually had to load it with a cherry picker. I don't even want to tell you guys. It was bad. It was real bad. You shouldn't do that. But it's here. I hope all of that risk was worth it. This is the first time I've ever had anything nearly this size on the channel. In fact, I weighed this engine and it is 1,377 pounds without the skid, which makes it 400 pounds heavier than just about anything else I've torn down on the channel. And I also don't know what I'm doing. The 3126 came in several different types of vehicles. I've seen them in school buses and motorhomes, stake bed trucks, box trucks, and even tow trucks. And likely because of their range of application, they came out with different power outputs. So they range from 170 horsepower all the way up to 330. This particular engine makes 210. Another thing that I noted in my limited research is that most people really like these engines. It seems like a very widely accepted good engine. I mean, it's an inline 6 with a turbo. How can you go wrong? The next thing that I'd like to mention, many of you already know this, I'm not a diesel tech. In fact, my experience working on medium duty and larger engines is virtually nothing. So I did a bunch of research, watched a bunch of videos that were very informative on these engines, and now I know enough, I think, to get this thing apart without too much of a struggle. However, I do anticipate this being a rather lengthy teardown, so I'm going to break this into two halves because I don't want to be here at 6 a.m. and then go home and come right back. So we're going to hopefully get the head off. That's the goal of this video, is to get the top end of this engine torn apart. Maybe we'll find some damage, maybe we won't. But I do know a few things about it. In fact, I know that this engine has over 300,000 miles on it, which isn't really a lot for one of these. I also know that it was diagnosed as a bad engine because two of the cylinders didn't look so great and it had some fuel delivery issues. I think the mechanic condemned it and said it would be cheaper just to replace the engine. So we may not find anything catastrophically failed, and I'm all right with that because these parts are all worth money. Everything on this engine has some value, and I stand to do pretty well on this financially. Enough jabber blabber. Let's get this thing apart. Ooh. Well, this is very Cummins-esque. Obviously, it's much different, and it looks like some of the injectors have been replaced, and some of them, well, maybe they all have, but some of them are different branded than the others. Some of them looks like they have a cat number, and others do not. But I don't really see anything awry in here. I don't know if that's normal. Well, here's what we're looking at. You can see the injectors don't all look the same. Some of them have that number on them, and looks like there might be a date code on some of them. This engine has 3 valves per cylinder, 2 intake and 2 exhaust. And the next thing we're going to remove is this cover, which has an integral harness for the injectors. Okay. What is this? Well, obviously that's not a bolt. Ah. Well, that was easy. Now we have a much better look at the valve train. Again, I still don't see anything jumping out at me here. The next thing I'd really like to remove is the turbocharger. I can't really tell if this has been replaced before. I don't see a date code on it. But it is in pretty good shape. Spins nice. I think we're going to start with the oil feed and return. Next, I need to unbolt these 4 bolts and nuts. I don't know how tight those are going to be. It would help if I had the right size, that usually helps. But I have none of the right sizes, apparently. All right, one of these is going to be right. Hey, look, there we go. Oh, that wasn't too bad. I expected that much tighter. Nope, not going to say it. That really isn't that tight. Now there's one tricky one on the back here. I always save the hardest one for last. That way I get in a bind, Oh, that wasn't too bad. In fact, you probably could have gotten that with the socket from the bottom. It's really hard to say whether this is an original turbo or not. It really has no shaft play. Spins nice. This would be a really good addition to, I don't know, a 5.3 or a 6.0. The next matter of business is the exhaust manifold. Now, they have these, what I would call brackets. They're not really brackets. They don't hold anything up, but their job is to keep these bolts from backing off. Engine vibration, the weight of the turbo, it can all back these bolts out. So this is what they did to keep them from spinning. So I have to essentially unstake them so that I can get a socket on them. Just takes a few taps with the hammer. Also, since this looks pretty rusty, I'm going to spray it down with some penetrator. Oh yeah, that's heavy. For right here, I'm going to remove this thermostat housing. Well, there's not really much to see in the exhaust ports. I don't see anything alarming. Thankfully, I also don't see any rust like this set outside. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the fuel delivery system. This engine uses something called a HEUI pump, which stands for Hydraulic Electronic Unit Injection Pump. That's this right here. This uses engine oil pressure, which 40-50 psi, multiplies it, and that high pressure, thousands of psi, fire the injector, similar to what a Power Stroke uses. The nice thing about that is if the engine is run low on oil or it has an oil pressure related issue, it doesn't run. So you can't run an engine with no oil in it. Man, if all engines were that way, we really wouldn't have that many teardowns on this channel. Now I hear that these are worth quite a bit of money, and they are pretty reliable. However, it seems to be more related to how often you change your oil, since it uses engine oil as the hydraulic pressure to fire the injectors. If you have dirty oil, that's where most of the problems come from. The very first thing I'm going to do on this side of the engine is start removing these lines. Now this line here is a replacement line. The original one is a rubber over braided line that apparently is pretty notorious for leaking. So we're going to get that off. We're going to get this line off. We're just going to remove all the lines, which will make everything else pretty simple. Uh-oh, I need to get a second wrench for that one. Ooh, it's still got oil in it.
No. Still no.
Okay, now I think I'm just going to pull that with this fuel filter housing, which has the primer on it. We'll get this off all in one go. I think that's what we're going to do. Wow, that one was tight. The next thing I'm going to do is remove this cover. Oh. What? Broken? No! Was that the end? It's dead? Already? Let's go find another battery. Well, folks, it seems that my battery is no longer with us. I think I broke a contact inside of it from vibration. So we're going to use air for now.
Nope.
Well, here's what it looks like behind that cover, which weighs like 20 pounds. It's a giant cam gear. It doesn't look like it's going to be too hard to get that out. And there's the gear for the Huey pump. So we're going to get that loose. Hopefully we don't need some sort of puller. Hopefully it comes right out. And then there's some bolts on the other side which hold it in. Oh, that was super easy. The next thing I'm going to remove is this flange. Now we can see if we can crack some of these bolts loose. Does this one go all the way through? I don't know if that one does. We'll get these out and we'll find out real quick. What else holds you on? So to get that bolt out, oh, I got a bracket in the way. A couple of them. Well, let's do something about that.
Will you cooperate?
Just gonna crack those side cover bolts loose. And we can put this back here. Okay, is that it? Oh, that's it. Oh, yep, that's it. All right, I have my backup impact driver. It's not what I would like to use, but it's what we're going to use, and we're going to remove the intake manifold. I'm sure this just goes boop. Yep, boop. Oh, there's a ground on here. So this still has the warming grids in it, much like a Cummins. Now a whole bunch of 13 millimeter bolts. Not even that many. And then, ooh, there's a nut in there. Is there a squirrel somewhere? That's not, where does this come from? Does anybody know what this nut goes to? I'm sure somebody does. The next thing I'm going to do is tackle the valve train. So first, we're going to crack these loose, pull the rockers. Shouldn't be too bad. Oh man, these aren't even tight. Yeah, let's just zip these out. Let's probably come over here and do some of these. Gonna be an explosion? Yes? No? Oh, that wasn't too bad. Oh, I gotta pull these loose. There's two 13s at the end.
No problem.
Is that it? When all the bolts are out, that's it. Who's still in there? And she's off. Now we should be able to pull the push rods out. You can hear those lifters fall. These are gigantic. They all look like they're in really good shape. All the ends have a good finish. Everything looks good so far. Now it's time to get the injectors out. Looks like there's 2 hex head bolts that hold them in. Now we can pull these bridges.
2, 3, 4.
Now I'm going to crack the bolts loose that hold the injectors in. When I say crack them loose, they aren't very tight. Let's just get this one loose first. I think if you loosen this one, the other one isn't so bad. Ooh, that one hissed at me. Maybe compression? All right, I think I got them all out. All right, I have no idea how easy these are going to be to come out. So we're just gonna kind of try some stuff here. I should have brought my adjustable headed pry bar for this. Yeah, we'll try blue first. Well, that wasn't bad. That was really simple. But are they all going to be like that? So far, so good. I think that was one of the ones that was replaced. Also has a different number on it than the others. I already like this engine. Everything comes apart so easy. I've kept these injectors in order, and I wanted to take a better look at them. They all look pretty good, but cylinder 4... pretty dark and dingy. What causes that? Is that maybe a bad seal? Actually, look. That is melted. Man, I hope that's not why they replaced the engine. That would be terrible. Very expensive for an O-ring. Now it is time to remove the head bolts. We're going to start with the little ones here. Oh, those are barely tight. Now for the big bolts. I have no idea if these are going to be really tight or just all right, I guess. We'll find out. Okay, I'm going to really try this time. Whoa. Yeah, so they're tight. They're really tight. I'm going to get the 3/4 inch bar for this. Need as much leverage as I can get. Oh man, am I going to be tired after this? Picked the wrong day to go to the gym. Oh. These might be tighter than the Mercedes.
Where am I?
I ask that question all the time. Not all of my ideas are great ones. I think I got this one already. Nope. Maybe I did. I don't know.
I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Do I really only have 2 left? Oh, these last 2 are going to break me. Oh, they're out. Oh, my back. Okay, I've caught my breath. Now we can get these out. Let's take a look at these head bolts. Wow, that's amazing. These are the biggest head bolts I've ever seen. Ooh, it's getting heavy. Wow, it's really heavy. Gotta know. 14 pounds of head bolts. Those are just the big ones. All right, now we're gonna take out the little guys. Because I know this is a very heavy cylinder head, I've used my chain. I've run some bolts into the head, one on either side. And I'm hoping that I can just use my forklift to break the seal with no damage, nothing gets ripped, nothing gets broken. We can just pop it right off. I think this is gonna work. Gosh, I hope it does. Alright, we're not caught on anything. Uh-oh. Did I miss one? It's definitely loose. There we go. Ooh, that just looks heavy.
Whoa, don't swing. Nope. Swinging's bad.
All right, for science, I need to know how heavy this is. There's 2 pounds worth of towel. And there's a chain on there. 220 some odd pounds. That's about what a Cummins head weighs, I think. I think it's maybe a little heavier than a Cummins head. That sure is heavy. Uh-oh. We got negative weight happening. What's happening? What's going on here? Oh, it's fine. Let's see if we can flip this thing on its side here. It's just a bunch of washers. Yeah, that's pretty heavy. There is no doubt about it. Can I roll it all the way over? Should I roll it all the way over? I'm gonna. It's gonna be fine. Just like so. Are you done dropping washers? Well, the head actually looks pretty good. I don't see any cracks. I don't see any valve damage. I don't see any signs that a piston came up and hit the cylinder head. It looks pretty good. I don't really know how you'd hurt this head. At first glance, the block looks good too. Head gasket is intact. I don't really see any areas where it's breached. That is absolutely full of oil. So we'll suck that down here in a minute. Will you just, the dowels, man. It's a perfectly good head gasket. All right, let's get all of this oil out of here. Give it a little spritz. Well, cylinder 1, you can kind of see there's some vertical scratches. Piston looks good. Again, I don't have a way to turn this over just yet. You can kind of see the cross hatching when it's not on the thrust side. Same thing, cylinder 2. Looks identical. Now, there's piston and cylinder number 3. It doesn't look too bad on that side. But on that side, whoo! I wonder how deep those are. Oh yeah. That might clean up with like 10 over. It's not super deep, like something came apart. There's cylinder 4. There's also a little bit of pitting, it looks like, right there. 5 and 6 look about the same. It's a little bit of scratching in those too. Vertical wear. So that could be lack of lubrication. This feels like a pretty good time to stop. My back, on the other hand, does not feel pretty good. Why do I do these things? Those head bolts were so tight, the tightest head bolts I've ever had to deal with, much tighter than the Mercedes M278. I had to use the biggest breaker bar we have in the shop, our 3/4 inch bar, and even then, I should have found a piece of pipe to slide over as a cheater bar for some extra leverage. Man, those things were tight. In fact, the internet says torque spec is 335 foot-pounds of torque. That's very tight. Now, aside from the tight head bolts, this thing has been really nice to work on. Everything comes apart. There's no special tools required so far. Nothing's broken. Everything's accessible. I kind of like it. Now, these are industrial engines, medium-duty engines that are designed to go very far between maintenance intervals, deal with harsh environments, designed to be service. It's a different approach than passenger vehicles. We did find some issues, though. Cylinder number 4's injector, the lower O-ring was melted or deteriorated. I did find out from the previous owner that the mechanic was swapping parts around, some used parts, so I'm not sure what that had to do with what we found, but the cylinder walls did have some damage, some wear, vertical scratches. I'm sure that it probably had some blow-by because of such. Either way, I'm not going to make you wait for a week to find out what the rest of this engine looks like. That would be mean. So sometime next week, an update on this. You got it. If you'd like to buy any parts off of this engine or anything else I've torn down, you can go to importapart.com and peruse our inventory, or send us an email at importapartsales@gmail.com. I really hope you enjoyed this out-of-the-box teardown. As always, I love all the comments, all the feedback, and even the criticism. I love it all, and I'll catch you on the next one.